The identity years, interrupted. Children aged 11 to 14 lived through the pandemic at a pivotal moment in their development. They were old enough to understand what was happening, old enough to feel the fear, the uncertainty, and the loss, old enough to know exactly what they were missing, but still young enough that their sense of self was fragile, forming, and easily shaped by the world around them. It's during these years that kids really start figuring out who they are. They begin asking those big questions. Who am I? What am I into? Where do I belong? It's a time for exploring independence, navigating friendships, building confidence, and learning how to express themselves. But for this generation, that process was interrupted, not erased, not ruined, just reshaped in ways that still influence who they are becoming. When the world shut down, so did many of the experiences that help young people grow into themselves. School routines disappeared. Friendships froze in place. Milestones were canceled. Independence was limited, and the world outside felt unpredictable and unsafe. These children understood the seriousness of the situation, but they didn't yet have the emotional tools to process it. Emotionally, many carried a quiet heaviness. Some developed anxiety that settled into their daily lives. Some felt low or unmotivated. Others became overwhelmed by emotions that felt too big to manage. Many struggled to calm down, to bounce back, or to trust that things would stay stable. They weren't being dramatic or overreacting. They were navigating feelings that were far bigger than their developing brains were ready for. Socially, everything changed. Friendships were put on hold, and the usual social dynamics shifted. Some kids came back to school feeling lost, unsure where they fit anymore. Others felt invisible or disconnected, as if the world had kept spinning without them. Some became more socially anxious, worried about being judged or not fitting in. Others felt behind, as if everyone else had grown while they were stuck in place. These weren't failures in social skills. They were the natural effects of isolation, during years when connection matters most. In school, many lost their sense of academic identity. Online learning, constant changes, and long periods without structure made it hard to stay motivated. Some struggled to focus. Some doubted their abilities. Others became perfectionistic, afraid to get things wrong after so much uncertainty. Many began questioning their intelligence or potential, not because they lacked either, but because the world around them had been unpredictable for so long. For children of key workers, the emotional load was even heavier. Some worried daily about a parent's safety. Some spent long stretches without seeing them. Others felt the emotional distance created by exhaustion and stress. They didn't understand the full context. They only felt the weight of responsibility and the fear of loss, and that shaped their sense of safety in deep, quiet ways. And some children in this age group experienced real loss. Grandparents, teachers, neighbors, family friends. They were old enough to feel the grief, but still too young to fully understand it. Their sadness showed up in many forms: irritability, withdrawal, numbness, anger, or sudden shifts in personality. These weren't signs of rebellion. They were signs of grief expressed through a mind that was still growing. Now, these young people are in secondary school or early adolescence. Some are stepping into their teenage years, and the echoes of the pandemic still appear in everyday moments. Identity confusion, social hesitation, anxiety, low self-esteem, fear of change, difficulty trusting stability, or feeling behind in life. These aren't flaws. They're the understandable responses of young people who lived through something enormous during the years they were still discovering who they were. So what helps them now? Gentle independence, predictable structure, emotional language that helps them name what they feel, opportunities to reconnect socially at their own pace, reassurance that mistakes are safe, small wins that rebuild confidence, adults who validate without judgment, and time to grow, time to heal, and time to rediscover themselves. If your young person is struggling, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You navigated something extraordinary, and they aren't behind. They're adapting to a world that changed during the years they were still learning how to become themselves. Thank you for watching this episode. Next, we'll explore the teenagers who were old enough to understand everything, but young enough that the pandemic shaped their worldview in ways they're only now beginning to unravel. If this series is helping you make sense of things, I'd love for you to subscribe, share, or leave a comment. Your story matters here.